UFC 314 has just wrapped up, and I have to say, it was by far the best pay-per-view of the year so far.
Feels so good to be back happy again.
It had everything you wanted. It had Volk coming back to the championship. It had Patty, just absolutely destroying Michael Chandler. Let me tell you something. Tony Ferguson put up a better fight against Patty Plymouth than Michael Chandler.
Yeah, 100%.
Man's a wash.
Hear me out. Chandler versus Ferguson, GFL headliner.
Oh, too bad that thing's cooked.
I mean, you never expected it, but I also want to say we have believed in John Silva from the very beginning.
Oh, yeah, I'm like, title champion. He's a future champion. He is the person I'm most confident in the UFC to become a future champion.
And everyone was like, Bryce Mitchell. They're getting on the hype train. His aura, man, Gene Silva's that guy. He's just that guy.
9 for 10 on takedown defense too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then just did it himself. Ninja choke.
Yeah. That was so sick.
Knocked him down and then just let him back up.
Yeah.
Because he wanted more.
I mean, he has everything. He has the striking. He has the takedown defense. He has submissions, clearly. I mean, he did what Topuria did to Bryce Mitchell. That's insane. And he didn't get taken down as much as Topuria did. So I'm excited to see what he does. We're going to talk about future matchups for everyone, but overall the card was incredible, top to bottom. It just felt like everything went right on that card.
It's because you start off with a women's finish to start off the card.
That's true.
Couldn't tell you who was in the fight, but it was a women's finish.
Haley Cowan versus Nora Cornell or something. Yeah, dude, I got every pick right except for 2 on the main card. Really? I picked against Reyes, which is going to haunt me for the rest of my life.
Everyone picked against Reyes.
Yeah, and then I picked against Patty, which was stupid.
Yeah.
With the GOAT.
Give Patty Justin Gaethje.
Patty, Makachev beater, Pimblett.
Okay, so before we get into this, I was also thinking about, we kind of talk about how, the future of lightweight, all these top guys are leaving. But as long as the UFC doesn't mess it up and start matchmaking them all against each other too early, you got, a core of, Arman, Ilya, Patty, Rufy, Joel Alvarez. That's not a bad 5.
It's not bad.
That's a solid starting 5 right there.
All right, let's start off at the top of the card. Volk, what's next for him? He says he wants to come back and have 2 title defenses before the end of the year. I think he's going to come to a quick reality that he's pretty busted up from this fight. I don't think he's going to recover very fast. He's 36. He took a ton of damage, stitches everywhere, including in his mouth. And I don't think he's going to take a lot of damage against Movsar, which is probably his next matchup. But you don't want to make the same mistake and come back too early.
Yeah, I saw a video of him in the club afterwards.
Dude, he was just out of it, bro.
I was like, maybe you should just go home and rest. I don't think most fighters are going out to the club after they win the belt.
Well, especially after a war.
Yeah, Lopez knocked you down a couple times, bro.
Yeah.
But I think with this fight, it's so interesting because they also apparently allegedly told Yair Rodriguez that he had the next title fight,
which is just
if
so
he
stupid.
Won. Maybe that was just to set up Diego Lopez versus Yair Rodriguez.
I could see that
potentially, but all signs are leading towards Evloev, probably August, September, because they love to go to. Isn't there a Perth pay-per-view this year? Or is it a fight night this year?
It's a fight night. Must be. I can't handle another Australian pay-per-view.
But if Volk headlines it?
That's true. Then everyone's going to pile on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Then you'll have Hooker, Coleman. You got everyone.
Yeah, it's not bad, actually. But I think what they should do is they should do Evloev because Yair beating someone who's not even in the UFC.
Yeah,
remember, before that, he's lost to Ortega. That was his last fight. And Ortega lost to, Diego Lopez. So it just doesn't really make sense to give Yair one more good win from Yair, sure. Mm-hmm. And honestly, we've seen Volk versus Yair, and it wasn't close. Why do I want to see that again?
I have no desire to see that again. And
exactly.
The thing with featherweight right now is there's just no one who's a true number 1 contender. Everyone's like, Evloev's the next guy up. He's got Arnold Allen and Aljamain Sterling.
And he is the number 1 contender. There's no one else. He's the guy right now.
Because after Diego Lopez, it's him.
Yeah, well, you have Topuria going away, so that moves Volk up to 1. Max Holloway should be out of the rankings. Lopez moves down. Movsar could be ranked 1.
I don't know if you move down. I'm going to be interested to see what they do with the featherweight rankings.
Yeah.
I think you still leave Diego Lopez at 1.
Yeah, you could. I mean, he put up a good fight.
Exactly.
You know?
Yair still 1 or 2 fights away from fighting Volk again. I would say 2 wins away. You don't need to run that back because
No.
you're not going to see anything different. Brian Ortega's never fighting for the belt again.
Yeah. I would say that it would have been better if Lopez won the belt for matchups wise because he has a storyline with Evloev and he has a storyline with Yair now.
Exactly.
So he could have had 2 interesting title fights, assuming he defended once. But I'm just happy that Volk won. It was good, but I think this fight proved that the featherweight division is just not the best right now.
Yeah. But I will say, you guys should have heard Lucas's scream when Lopez knocked down Volk at the end of round 2.
Never happened.
He just stood up and screamed like a girl. It was
That
glorious.
didn't happen. There's no proof.
Might be one of my favorite moments ever watching UFC. This guy just screaming. All right, let's move on to the loser of that fight, Diego Lopez. And I think it's pretty clear where he's headed for his next fight. I think it's got to be Yair Rodriguez in probably the co-main event of Noche.
It'd be sick, yeah. That's the fight to make.
You have Moreno on the top of the card probably, and then Lopez versus Yair as the co-main. I think that there's no complaints with that fight.
Yeah, I don't think you can make it the main event of a pay-per-view. It's not that big. Neither of them have that much star power, but Mexico loves Mexico, you know?
Yeah.
So I think they should be on the card no matter what. And I think it's great beef to have. They both speak the language. So it's just a good fight to have on that September pay-per-view.
Yeah, the presser going hard in Espanol.
Oh, my God.
Gotta get my Duolingo up before then.
The translators are going to be sweating, bro. Duolingo. Yeah, I think Lopez has a clear fight with Yair. I can't really think of anyone else in that. I mean, he already beat Ortega. Movsar should get the title shot. There's no one else. Arnold Allen, but who knows if he's ever coming back.
Yeah.
You know? Next up, we got Patty, your boy.
My boy, my favorite fighter, your favorite YouTuber's favorite fighter, got it done.
Yeah, easily too.
And yeah, this is by far the best he's looked in his career. You know, he's just having, I mean, the Ferguson fight was a little bit weird, but he had his career best performance against King Green and then came in here by far his career best performance up against Michael Chandler, doing things that guys like Charles Oliveira 4 months ago couldn't do to him, you know? So I think everyone knows that Patty's fighting in the top 5 for his next fight. Just who is he going to fight? I think you're between probably Gaethje and Charles.
Yeah, I think Gaethje's probably most likely because it's an easier matchup for him. Like Charles has the skills on the ground and technically defensive on the feet. So Gaethje, I think he's probably beats Gaethje
In a round?
No, like not. I don't want to say easily because Gaethje's a good fighter, but I think Patty has a real shot, and I think he'd be a favorite.
Well, I also saw the TikTok this morning. It was T-Ball Paul, my favorite UFC TikToker, was talking about it, but he was like, who has Michael Chandler not taken down in the first round? He takes everyone down in the first round. He might even take down Makhachev in the first round.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it.
He couldn't take down Patty in the first round.
I know. Well, I was watching. Well, yeah, no, he did. He dumped him on the ground.
Oh yeah, but like that was that doesn't count.
I was watching this TikTok right before you got here, and it was like the 6 stages of a Michael Chandler fight, and it's just like, dude, every fight happens the same way. He comes in with IQ, and then just it all goes out the window when he gets hit.
Well, and you can see the same clips in every fight. There's a clip of him running away in every single fight.
I know. I saw like one of those like hard, you know, like the Brazilian funk edits where it's like each fighter's signature move, and it's like Taporia with like, you know, Alex Pereira and Islam Makhachev Darce choke, and then it's Chandler running away. He does it every fight. Honestly, like I think Patty has the potential to be a title contender for sure.
Yeah, he's just in the toughest division with champions.
And especially when Makhachev maybe moves out that division, like it's free for the taking, you know?
He could have an interim, you know, if Ilya's ever hurt. That's
True.
about it.
Well, I think him versus Ilya also has a great storyline. Like,
because he hates Ilya. Midget boy.
Yeah. Well, if you think about the views that Patty gets, like he's actually low-key one of the bigger stars.
It would be a huge, huge fight. Like
Yeah.
if you do Charles versus Islam and then Gaethje versus Patty and have potentially Ilya and Patty win those fights and then have them fight for the vacant lightweight championship.
Yeah.
How big would that be?
Yeah, if Taporia can't get a Makhachev matchup, that is probably the next biggest fight.
honestly, and how like there would be some serious beef between us.
Oh, for sure.
We would scrap on camera.
Yeah, I think it'd be a fun fight. I think if Topuria gets the Makhachev matchup, then Paddy should get the Charles matchup. I just think that's a bigger fight for him. But if Makhachev does something else, moves up, then it's probably going to be Charles versus Topuria and Gaethje versus Paddy. And then what does Armin do? Like, what is Armin doing?
Armin just odd man out. I forget he exists.
Yeah,
at most points.
Been cock blocked from the title by Dana. I would like I think Armin versus Paddy is another fight they could do, because Paddy some for some reason just hates him. He thinks he's a posh boy, which he is, and I just think that they're not going to do that because they want Paddy to keep rising, and I think Armin beats him.
I think I just love about Paddy is the fact that he calls everyone out. Moicano, how you get tapped out that quick? Or I saw a great meme that was like, I think it was, I don't know if they made it up or Moicano said it, but it was like 2024 Paddy, easy money. 2025 Paddy, not easy money.
Yeah, I saw that. It was him. That was so good, bro.
All right, let's move on to Michael Chandler now.
I honestly think retirement, and I'm not kidding.
I think retirement's his best option. If not retirement, I think the Moicano fight is kind of there. You know, two guys that are kind of entertaining.
That's interesting.
But something else I thought of, the winner of BSD versus Joel Alvarez versus Michael Chandler.
Yeah, and it's Joel Alvarez.
Yeah. So Joel Alvarez versus Michael Chandler, and I think that's a great stepping stone for
good,
Joel
bro.
Alvarez.
So good. I love that fight.
Like, imagine you're just like a UFC fighter now, and the 10th ranked guy is Michael Chandler. How good is that for the resume?
Yeah. And I think about, like, Alvarez doesn't really have a big following, even though he's one of the most exciting guys in that division. So put him against Chandler, where all the Americans are going to be watching. He's going to be like Topuria. He's going to have the Spain fan base, the Europe fan base, and the American fan base. I think it's really perfect, actually.
How far are we away from Michael Chandler being on the same level as Conor McGregor? Like, skill-wise, they might be on the same level at this point.
Dude, I was saying this to you on the night, but I think Chandler might be like the worst high-level fighter in the UFC right now.
Yeah, he's still considered a top guy, but he's dog water.
What's he good at? He doesn't have good cardio. He doesn't have a good stance for fighting in general. Like, his super wide base, the leg kicks are just way too easy.
He's so low.
Yeah, he's so low. He's 5'4" in the ring. Like, it's just crazy to me that I ever picked him, and that he was able to beat Dan Hooker in his debut, and that he keeps on getting these big shots every single time. Like, he deserves to fight down again. He does not. Don't give him a Dan Hooker matchup. Like, don't give him something good. He needs to fight a prospect up and coming again, because honestly, I think at this point in his career, he is as good as an unranked lightweight.
I don't know. I still think he might be as good as a guy like Moicano.
I don't think so.
BSD?
No. Oh, maybe. maybe.
Yeah, he's bottom 5 right now.
Oh, for sure.
But I think, I mean, this is MMA mathing it, but you put Michael Chandler against Islam, and he lasts longer than freaking Moicano.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Maybe.
But yeah, I think that Moicano is a potential fight, because maybe you get the Moicano hype back going, or you wait winner of BSD versus Alvarez. I really like that fight.
Yeah, depends when he wants to come back, because who knows if he's going to take 6 months off. I think Moicano would want to come back sooner than that.
Yeah, that is true. All right, moving on to our featured fight, Yair. It's probably also just going to be Lopez.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, not much to say. It's the right match to make. They both got beef. It's a good storyline. People have seen it on this card, so they're going to watch the Guadalajara card because they know, oh, those two names, I saw them. Just makes sense.
And his opponent, Patricio Pitbull, just retire, bro.
There's not too much for him to do. Like, I don't know why the UFC signed him so late into his career. He was one of the best featherweights and Bellator fighters in general of all time.
He might be on the Bellator Mount Rushmore.
Oh, for sure. Like, he is better than Michael Chandler in Bellator.
Yeah.
And so for him to come over at 37 kind of sucks. There's no exciting matchups that I can like really want to see in that featherweight division.
And I don't think he gets ranked in featherweight.
No, I doubt it. Like, at the bottom, you could maybe do a Dan Ige versus Pitbull. Like, that's a fun matchup.
Yeah, I think at this point he's like prospect food.
Yeah.
You know, you just feed him to the up-and-comers. Like, maybe you give him, what's Sean Woodson now? Like, maybe. Two guys that lost on the same card.
I want to ask you about that because I wasn't there for that fight. I've seen people saying that Sean Woodson was up 2 rounds, but the scorecards had it up 2 for Ige. So what do you think?
Ige was 100% winning that fight.
Okay.
Sean Woodson just has no power behind his punches. Like,
I know.
Ige does damage. And the thing is with Sean Woodson is that if the ref didn't call it there, Ige was going to win that fight. He was either going to finish him or win the decision.
Yeah.
You know, like, but the thing is like, looking at it, it's technically a bad stoppage. But if you're a guy bent over like this,
know, bro.
20 shots to the head.
I know. I watched that because you told me it was a bad stoppage.
I didn't think it was a bad stoppage, but I knew everyone was going to call it a bad stoppage.
And so I watched it later, and I was like, oh, yeah, I definitely see, like, this dude's grabbing for the legs, not moving.
Yeah.
And then as soon as the ref goes to step in, he gets up. I'm like, that's such bad timing.
I know.
So,
but
sucks.
He didn't do nothing.
Guru's tweet in between rounds where he's like, someone's got to take out this guy before he starts laying eggs. That is crazy.
Oh, all right. Let's move on to Jean Silva.
Yeah. John Silva, I mean, give him a title shot at this
Honestly, I think he probably is the best contender for Volk right now.
If Yair would have lost, I would have loved to see Yair versus John Silva. That's a exciting fight.
Mm-hmm.
Now I think you do John Silva versus Arnold Allen if Arnold Allen can come back, because that's unreal.
Yeah, and I think too is it's better to have him face off against Arnold Allen because we still need a Lerone Murphy future matchup, and Lerone can go and fight a guy like Ortega, because the issue with Lerone is he can't go and fight Arnold Allen because they're both like English boys, I think.
They probably wouldn't want to do
that. They wouldn't want to do that. So I think Arnold Allen's an awesome matchup.
Mm-hmm. And if they did want to do an English matchup, they could do Lerone versus Arnold Allen on a fight night main event.
Yeah.
That'd be fun. But they just went to London, so I don't think they're going back super soon. I think that Gene Silva, they're not going to make that Lerone Murphy fight. Like, I've seen a lot of people saying that Lerone Murphy versus Gene Silva.
That's stupid.
Why would they want to do that?
That is stupid.
Kill the only two good prospects in this division?
Yeah.
Like, sorry, Yusuf Zalal. I don't want to see you run around the cage.
And I think that the thing is right now, looking at this featherweight division, is it's like, oh, like, you know, he's going to fight the number 7 Arnold Allen to fight for the belt after that if he wins. But it's also like, no, he's actually going to be number 5 Arnold Allen in about a day.
Yeah, for sure.
Because it's just, we just need to see how this picture looks, you know? Because realistically, like, Gene Silva was going to be maybe top 10. You can make an argument that he gets the 10 spot potentially.
For beating Mitchell?
Yeah.
Who knows?
Could put him above Zalal or Tatse.
I think they'll put him at 13 to start, and then as the weeks go by,
which goes to 11.
He'll slowly move up.
Which will be 11.
Yeah.
And then maybe eventually one time he'll just pop up to 10.
Oh, definitely. They love doing that.
But it'll be interesting. Yeah, I think that he's going to fight one of the vets up in there, one of the guys at the top. You know, we're pretty far off from, Brian Ortega's me back to a top 4 ranked featherweight.
Jeez, yeah, we got to get him out of there.
And who knows if he's going to go to lightweight or not, too. Because if he goes to lightweight, then it's another guy gone.
Yeah, this division's weird, man. I think Gene Silva's probably one good win away from the belt, depending on the matchup they give him.
Yeah.
They need to capitalize on the fighting nerds while they're hot.
And I think Dana really likes Jean Silva.
Yeah.
Because of the whole wedding thing. Like, he's like, we can make this work.
He's autistic, bro. He's actually scary. Like, the way that he hangs off the cage barking, it's kind of scary.
He's such an aura farmer. He just started doing it. He's like, do it again, do it again, do it again. And let's move on to the guy that John Silva beat, Bryce Mitchell. What's next for Bryce Mitchell?
Probably another unranked fight.
Yeah, just put him as the gatekeeper of that division, basically.
Yeah, at this point, he's had 3 losses against good guys, Taporia, Josh Emmett, and Gene Silva. All those are good fighters, but I think this kind of proves that he's not top level.
No. All of this former hype that he had as this up-and-coming prospect, it's all fully gone now. That hype can be just officially gone. Mm-hmm. He's moving on to having to reinvent himself as an aged vet making his way up the rankings.
Dude, imagine what Bryce Mitchell could do to Sean Woodson's legs. You could just wrap yourself around those and shimmy up.
Yeah, I think it's always easy to maximate guys who both lost in the same card, but I wouldn't want to see Bryce Mitchell over Sean Woodson.
Be the weirdest fight ever.
He would just be able to do that's gonna sound really bad, but he'd just be able to do whatever he wanted to Sean Woodson because he's so tall.
Yeah,
that's the issue with Sean Woodson, is that he's never gonna be able to be a good UFC fighter because he's too tall and just such Volk would just have a heyday on this guy.
Oh, for sure, double legs all day.
Yeah.
All right, Dominic Reyes, dude.
Title runs on.
I'm sorry I ever bet against you, but I didn't believe in your game. Bro turned into prime McGregor, prime Sean O'Malley. That was insane. The step back cross. I never would have expected him to be on fire.
I did not know he had that much power.
Yeah, I mean, he's been technical, but to put him at, like, sleep him in one shot?
And like Krylov was my lock of the night.
Yeah.
On the main card, I was like, yeah, like if you want anyone, Nikita Krylov knockout is for sure. And then this was part of the stream where the stream was just lagging, and then all of a sudden I finally got on someone on top of the cage, and I was like, oh, that was really quick. And I was like, that's Dominic Reyes.
The lad's only gone and done it.
I was like, what?
Yeah. For next matchups, I would love to see him against Rakic, beat him up, take that number 6 ranking, or number 5 if, Pereira moves out of the division. And then Jan 2, maybe. Jan's older now.
I think at this point there's really no real title contenders in that division. Everyone's kind of in the same tier. You beat Rakic. What's stopping the UFC from having Dominic Reyes fight for that belt? Just like, what if? The final, we owe you one after what we did to you all these years ago.
It's getting closer.
Special guest referee John Jones.
It's definitely getting closer. I think with one more win over Rakic and then another win over maybe Olberg. Or bro, I don't know, what he's lost. I don't think he beats Prohaska. He got dominated by Prohaska. And who else is there? Jan Blachowicz. They've already done that. And
Jamal Hill.
Yeah, actually, I forgot about that guy. Yeah, that could be interesting. But he's already gonna lose to Roundtree.
Yeah. I think the Rakic fight is probably the one that makes the most sense.
Yeah,
it's the easiest.
I don't think they're in a rush to push Dominic Reyes to the title.
But
they're in a rush to push Olberg and Roundtree.
The fans are in a rush to see Reyes fight for that belt,
which might actually.
Could you imagine a world where 2025, 2026 Dominic Reyes is fighting for the belt?
Alex Pereira couldn't KO Ank. Dominic Reyes. Yes, sir.
And then moving on to Nikita Krylov.
I don't know. Maybe a Jingming Yang fight. If Ming Yang wins.
If he beats, that's what I kind of had. Was
Smith probably going to retire after that. Krylov, there's not really much for him to do. Are you going to take another 2 years off? Who knows if he fights again?
Yeah, that's what I was kind of like. It's retirement or.
Yeah, prospect.
Just be one of the light heavyweights, just hangs out in the rankings like you already were doing. And then a couple quick other notables. Verna Jandiroba just dominated Wang Kong. That was probably...
No, not Wang Kong.
Sorry, not Wang Kong. Yang Jianan. Same stuff. I think that she probably just holds out for Zhang Weili.
For sure.
Because you probably could do the Zhang Weili versus Verna Jandiroba fight next, but depends if Zhang Weili is really adamant on going and fighting up.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens there, but she should be fighting for that strawweight belt in her next fight. She looked huge against Yan Jianan.
Yeah. Sucks to see Yan Jianan go down like that.
Yeah, I was like, she was doing okay, and it was just by the second round, it was just full domination.
Yeah, but we know Zhang Weili's not going to accept that.
No, and the thing is with Verna Jandiroba is there was just a lack of. It was just all control time, no offense in the control time, and then finally Chase Hooper got the big dub over Jim Miller. Couldn't put him away. He looked so close so many times to putting him away.
He was good on the feet. I'll give him that.
Yeah,
looked very solid. But Jim Miller isn't the best striker anymore. He had some moments on the ground where it's but Jim Miller's just too crafty. He's not going to get submitted by those cheap techniques. Those heel hooks.
Yeah, and I think with a guy like Chase Hooper, I'd say probably give him one more fight outside of the rankings, and then you bring him in because there's no need to rush him right now with how just cluttered the top of that division is. Take your time. Give him a Matt Frivola or a King Green,
Ooh, yeah, Frivola or dude, I know this probably wouldn't happen, but a Faris Ziam versus Chase Hooper, the ground exchanges would be kind of gnarly.
Unreal. Yeah. But Chase Hooper's striking did show levels. It looked a lot better. It's getting better every fight.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think you give him a vet. If he gets the win there, then he's fighting someone inside of the rankings.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to his career. I think that it would have been nice to see him get a finish over Jim Miller, but sometimes they're going to have an off night or they're not going to have a highlight level performance. So this might have been one of those nights where he just wasn't switched on.
Yeah, and it's not to say that he looked bad. He still pretty much dominated them.
Well, it was 30-27, right?
One judge had a 30-27, two had a 29-28, or whatever, a combination. Right. But some of them had a 30-27. But that's going to wrap it up for us today. Go down to the comments. Let us know what was your favorite fight from UFC 314. While you guys are down there, make sure you guys are liking and subscribing. We appreciate all the love and support. And I'll see you guys next time. Peace.
See ya.